Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Glenn coming to you here with our Week 1 matchup for the NPBA Season 4. For those of you who might not have seen our draft breakdown prior to this one, just a kind of quick recap for y'all. It's 115 points to make a team, 11 Pokemon per team. We are following Nat Deck's legacy rules, so all cut moves are allowed, excluding Hidden Power and Pursuit. All the regular Smogon clauses are in effect. And then we also have some specific complex bans on certain Pokemon. Things like, no Protean and Battle Bond on Greninja, Libero Cinderace, Dragon Dance on Kyurem Black, Scale Shot, things like that as well. So, nothing that our team is inherently infected by, but, definitely something to be aware of for some of our matches moving up. This Week 1 matchup, we were playing against AMAG95. We're actually in quite a few leagues with him. Really solid dude, good player. And last season we started with a 6-0 setup sweep. So if you can take a look right here at our different teams, our team here, the Gutra Gang, are on the left side, and then the Volcarona Virus, the team we're playing this week, are on the right-hand side. Really super solid squad there. A lot of scary threats, and a lot of stuff that hits us really hard as well. Sand Rush, Excadrill can really do a number on the vast majority of our team. So that's definitely something that I am kind of dreading having to play against. And then a lot of the stuff that kind of works well enough to deal with Excadrill, Rillaboom kind of just breaks the rest of those, so that's not really a great thing to see on that side as well. We'll get into kind of my projections of what I expect them to bring a little bit later on in the video, but realistically, things like his top 3 on that row right there in terms of physical sweepers really bother us a lot. The benefit that we do have this week pretty handily, though, is definitely the speed tiering. Zeraora pretty much just runs away with it. So here we go with our team builder. Alright, so starting things off, first pick overall, so why not? Urshifu single, Tuxedo Mask. We're going to be rocking with the Choice Scarf this week, Wicked Blow, Close Combat, U-Turn, and Stone Edge. So the rationale behind a lot of this is, number one, Wicked Blow is pretty much damn near guaranteed to bring every turn, every game rather. It's definitely something that we're going to have more often than not. Close Combat to hit all of those threats that he has that we don't really like to deal with, like the Excadrill, like the Gigalith. Not a lot of really great resists outside of Gallade and the Togekiss, so we're hoping that Close Combat kind of runs through a good amount of the team. U-Turn for pivotability, just because it is an awesome pivot when needed, especially if the other team did not bring a Scarfer. It kind of just gets in there, does the damage it needs to, and runs away. And then last but not least is going to be Stone Edge. Stone Edge is predominantly there for realistically just 2 Pokemon, and those Pokemon are Togekiss and Volcarona. You're going to see kind of a recurring theme of things that want to hit Togekiss and Volcarona, but really solid start here with Urshi. We're running Adamant this week as well. Next up, Zeraora, aka Raiden. We're going to go with a Leftovers sub bulk up set. So the whole hope here is that we get behind a substitute against something that doesn't really want to deal with us anyway. Ideally, maybe a choice locked Togekiss or potentially even the Avalugg to a certain extent. Sub up and then just keep bulking up until we get to a point in which we are pretty comfortable. The benefit of this build is that, let's say it does go into kind of that Sand Rush Excadrill. With lefties, I could actually sub up enough times as long as he is not holding some kind of weather extension. I'll be able to sub-stall that out just based upon speed tiering alone. But ideally, we get that sub up, we bulk up. Plasma Fist hits pretty much everything on his team, and for the things that don't, that's where Drain Punch comes in, kind of get us that health back as well in case we are low after running that subset. But definitely, I look forward to Zeraora kind of putting in some work this week. I think it hits a lot of really great threats on their team, and hopefully we're able to get it to go off. Alright, Tapu Fini, aka Ursula. Thrilled about this set. I think it's something that works really well for what Fini does well. It's just able to kind of get that sub up, absorb a hit or two. Leftovers, of course, bringing it back. And the benefit, of course, is that with Misty Terrain running around, even if they break the sub, I can't get the sub back up, and they try to status us, then that kind of eliminates a really easy way to wipe Fini off the board, because without that status ailment, Leftovers recovery really helps a lot. So ideally we get that sub up, click Calm Mind a couple of times, and hopefully take out most of the team. I am terrified of the Rillaboom matchup, not going to lie. And you'll see kind of our Rillaboom counters coming in a little bit later in the builds here. But that's really one of the only things that directly stops Fini from kind of just setting up and going off. So hopefully we get a sub up, maybe he'll go into Boom, and at the very least we get a free Moonblast off. I contemplated going like sub Ice Beam over Moonblast, but Moonblast has so much better neutral coverage against the entire team. Had no choice. Alright, so speaking of Rillaboom counters, Mega Aggron, aka Shoulder Pads. So Heavy Slam, Stone Edge, Stealth Rock, and Roar. Not my favorite set to run on Ag, but realistically, Heavy Slam and Stone Edge wipe a majority of the team kind of off the board, with the exclusion of things that Aggron just doesn't want to deal with anyway. We're not really staying in against Mega Glade regardless. We're not loving staying in against Volcarona, but if we predict the switch, that's pretty huge to click that Stone Edge button and kind of get out of the way. Stealth Rocks are just nice here. A lot of their team either has to bring boots or kind of just deal with hazard removal as that time comes. So hopefully we get some rocks up, be able to roar things in and out. Ideally the Togekiss as well, because it's something where it might come in to kind of chip us out with a flamethrower or something at the end, expecting us to go for some kind of setup or arrest or something along those lines. The other thing that really is a benefit here, though, is that Rillaboom pretty much cannot touch this. Outside of an SD and getting some drain punches off, it's really not going to do much. Alright, another kind of pseudo Rillaboom counter is going to be Goodra this week, aka Slime Shady, rocking the Assault Vest and Sap Sipper with Sledge Wave, Rock Slide, Earthquake, and Flamethrower. So Goodra actually has a couple of really fantastic matchups here. With the AV, Togekiss actually has a really hard time dealing with Goodra, even though it does have that type advantage, and that's where things like Sledge Wave come in as well. We are running a mixed attacker this week, which I typically try to just shy away from if possible with Goodra, really try to steer into one or the other. But that being said, I think Earthquake and Rock Slide are really solid brings this week. Due to the ×4 weakness as well, even with a negative attack nature, Rock Slide still does more than, let's say, for example, Surf to a Volcarona, especially since Volk can kind of just, roost it back up or kind of set itself up. So really excited about Slime Shady this week. Alright, Electros, aka MGMT, another Assault Vest user this week. U-Turn, Thunder Punch, Rock Slide, Drain Punch. So with Levitate, as long as he is not Mold Breaker Excadrill, we can hopefully kind of use that ground immunity here. Love U-Turn and Thunder Punch this week. Really solid bring for a good amount of his team. But most excited about Rock Slide and Drain Punch. Again, something that really helps to wall Volcarona to a good extent. It really helps a lot against the Togekiss. We are running max HP, max defense on this as well, so it is something that it can eat some physical hits and at least get some damage off. But again, it's just a really great pivot option between this and the U-Turn on Urshifu. We're able to kind of come in and out as we please, which is very cool, especially when we see kind of a Togekiss out there and we can use U-Turn to just switch out after that. So really excited. I'm hoping the Eel goes off this week. And now let's get into our team projections. So for Volcarona Virus, again, super scary squad here, y'all. You're talking about, I think it's 4 Pokemon that are over 13 points or higher in terms of tiers. So really a rough team to prep for. That being said, these are the 6 that I predict. Mega Glade, I think, is pretty much as close to a guarantee as possible. Same with Excadrill and Gigalith. Volcarona really does a number if it sets up on us for sure. And Milo is one of his only recovery options, so I definitely think that that's going to come as a defensive wall. I'm assuming specially defensive, but I think physical could also be a pretty good bring. It really depends on what they run the Gigalith as. And I'm also projecting Rillaboom. I think a Choice Band Grassy Glide set definitely hurts a lot, especially when it can do things like U-turn and knock off to kind of just bypass a lot of what I want to do. Not looking forward to that being the case, but definitely let's get into our battle. So for this week, we did a replay of the battle, and if you want me to do kind of live commentary, let me know, and I'll see if I can rock that out moving forward for y'all. But we led with Tuxedo Mask here. He goes Gigalith. We decided to close combat just to scout for damage to see what we're looking at in terms of the set there. Immediately pivot out, though, and swap into Electros to just eat this Air Slash nice and easy. And again, as we said in the team builder, we're going to U-turn out of here to just kind of see what we can set up on nice and safely. So he goes into the Gigalith. We're going to U-turn. We like this matchup a lot. And now it's hopefully time to get Fini set up. So we're going to click sub turn 1, scout what they want to do. I'm assuming at this point Stealth Rocks are going to be coming out just because they do a decent amount to kind of chip my team. And he goes for the Toxic. Turns out in post that was actually a misclick, which was definitely rough. There was a couple of those that happened this game, so definitely sorry to see that, but it's part of the game, I guess. So he goes for the Stealth Rock here after the misclick last turn. We get one Calm Mind up, feeling really good at this point. So Milo comes in. I'm like, sweet, let's just keep Calm Minding. Why not? Makes perfect sense to me. And I'm like, you know what? Let's do it one more time, right? Why not go for a Moonblast, see what we can do? And then Haze happens, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I'm already at +2. This thing can just sit in here and click Haze and recover, and that's just infuriating. So I'm like, you know what? Let's just chip. We'll see what we can do. And sure enough, turn 1, we get a crit there. So he goes for an Ice Beam here, maybe predicting a swap into something like Goodra to kind of just eat some hits, but I'm still behind the sub, so I wasn't going anywhere just yet. So I decided to take a risk and Calm Mind again. So he swaps into Volcarona, and this is where it gets kind of into that 50-50 game. So he goes for the QD. I'm going to I'm going to Surf here just to see what the set looks like. Turns out it was a speed invested Volk, so that really worked out in our favor. Milo comes back in. We get the Surf off to get some nice, clean damage there. And now we're just going to rock out with Moonblast. No reason not to. Milo gone. Huge threat out of the way right off the jump. Alright, Mega Glade comes in. Just trying to break the sub here, thinking the sub is low enough, but I am max defense and knockoff is resisted. So we rock out with a Moonblast. Glade goes down. So the rest of the way here is a lot of 50-50 plays. It's a lot of stuff where we kind of just have to see what the spreads are and what we're looking at. So go for a Calm Mind here. Goes for the EQ to break the sub. I know that I could live another EQ with the sub up, so I'm just going to sub here again. Kind of force them into an area in which they have to make a play. So they go for the EQ, and I go for damage. And let me tell y'all, this was an invested Fini at +2. And that Gigalith still took barely over half. Gigalith's a threat, y'all. So they Stone Edge to break our sub. Stone Edge is kind of that risky play that a lot of players kind of shy away from. So I kind of thought maybe an Earthquake might come in again. So I do sub up one more time to kind of just hide away behind it. We're going to rock out with Surf here. Nothing wants to swap into this. At this point, I think, it kind of just became hopeful to get Togekiss in and just maybe outwall this thing, but it was getting kind of tough. They go for the Giga Drain here to break the sub. Smart play, get some health back, but we're already at +2, which is just a difficult thing to come back from against Fini in the best case scenario. And then from here, it's pretty much just clicking buttons. So we're going to Moonblast against the Togekiss just for max damage, and from there, we just kind of play things out accordingly. My opponent just started clicking buttons, I said on their end there, but really great game. Shout out to Amag. He actually used a very similar set the week after in another league we're in together, and he got a 6-0 sweep with Primarina. So super scary water fairy types out there, y'all. But yeah, so this will wrap it up. Nice little 6-0 to start our season. Super excited about that. Let me know in the comments if you want me to potentially do some live battles, and I'll see y'all for week 2.